Hi, I'm David Chislett, the weapon of mass creation, and this is the Mavericks of Mass Creation, a series of unscripted conversations between myself and Maverick leadership expert Judith Germain. We believe that Mavericks and creativity combine to make an irresistible force for change, one that is sorely needed in a world that is developing faster than at any time in our history. So with these videos, it's our desire to share our knowledge about Maverick leadership and creativity to help you make this place a better world. So in today's chat, we're going to talk all about what Maverick leadership actually is. So hello, Judith.
Hi, Dave.
I guess the logical place to start off with is, what's a Maverick before we can get into Maverick leadership?
That's a good place to start. Well, I've been defining Mavericks since 2005 as willfully independent people. So that's what Maverick is, someone who's willfully independent, not like a toddler who is stamping their feet and going crazy, but more about someone who's got a little smirk on their face and going, I will do this.
All right. Now that doesn't sound much like a leader according to most people's definition. So what's Maverick leadership all about?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because there are two types of Mavericks. You've got your extreme Maverick and you've got your socialized Maverick, and they're very similar. The only difference between the two is the moral dimension. So an extreme Maverick is all about themselves, and a socialized Maverick is all about the greater good. So a Maverick leader is someone who works for the greater good with integrity, empathy, and passion.
Okay. So what does that look like in a day-to-day expression? I mean, I'm sure everyone's had experience of a boss or a leader who kind of just like does their own thing. But I mean, does that make them a Maverick? What does this look like?
That's good. It's a really good question, because you don't have to be a Maverick to be a Maverick leader. Okay. So so being a Maverick's a personality. Maverick leadership is a way of behaving around other people. If that helps.
Yes, it does. Okay, so what are the hallmarks of the behavior Maverick leadership?
Well, one of the behaviors is that they will work for the greater good. So they're always looking for that win-win-win solution. They will do the right thing, so they'll have integrity. You can predict their behavior. Yeah, so one of the problems with leaders is that you can't predict what they're going to do. Another thing is that they will be determined to make sure things get done. They will be execution driven. They will have an honest belief. They will make the hard decisions and stand by them. A good example would be Jacinda, the New Zealand president, who made a decision with COVID quite upfront, quite early, that no other leader was making.
Okay, good. So if it's a set of behaviors, that leads me to believe that you're saying anyone can learn how to do this. Is that true?
Yeah, I am. The difference is Mavericks, effective Mavericks, the socialized ones, will do this naturally. They will have naturally understood what to do. They would have spent their time learning emotional intelligence and things like that. The thing with Maverick leaders who aren't Mavericks is that they will have to be reminded in doing it until it becomes more natural for them. So in the same way, a socialized Maverick will think in a certain way. A Maverick leader who isn't a Maverick will probably look at the models for that thinking behavior and learn it that way. It's not so intuitive for them.
Okay. And then what are the benefits for Maverick leadership as opposed to any possibly more conventional leadership style?
Okay, that's a really good question. The benefits, there are numerous benefits. One of the problems with leadership per se is that it is rooted in the time period. So you can almost guess when someone was educating leadership depending on what philosophies they're using. So, so let me give you an example. Maverick leadership is all about what you do and who you are. So it's applicable no matter what the environment is, no matter what changes. Other types of leadership is only specific to maybe an environment where change doesn't happen very often. So you have a set standard way of working. Whereas if you think about it, who you are, i.e., do you have integrity? Can you do the work? Do you have competence? and how you do it is never going to change regardless of the environment that you're in.
Okay. And what does Maverick leadership mean for the team?
You've got someone who's got your back, someone who will encourage you. If you make a mistake, they'll be asking you what the learning is. Yeah, they're not looking to share blame. In fact, right in the midst of it, blame is something they do not want to hear about. It's, okay, what is the solution? Almost before what has actually happened, because it's all about doing. You can see a Maverick leader in a workplace because everybody wants to work on that team. And you have low absence and low staff turnover.
This is sounding quite closely related to growth mindset, the Carol Dweck's whole way of looking at the world.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Maverick leaders is all about influencing. It's not about manipulation. It's very easy to manipulate someone into doing something. You just need to have the appropriate amount of power to do it. Whereas anyone can be a Maverick leader, even if you are the janitor, the manager, the secretary, everybody can lead themselves and to move forward in that way. So if you are going to influence somebody, there's no point in destroying them. It makes sense to use a growth mindset. Yes, you can't do that at the moment, but you can soon. It's much more motivational than saying you're stupid or you can't do something.
All right, cool. I want to pick up on your use of the word of it depends on how much power you have. The example of a good Maverick leader that you just gave us was the president of New Zealand, who obviously has a lot of power. But I mean, are there any more sort of like business or commercial examples that you could give us that could kind of cast the net a bit wider for us to understand what a Maverick leader looks like? Okay,
that's a good question. So power often comes in a number of forms. So one form of power is the deemed authority. I'm your boss, I can sack you, I have power over you. Or it could be, I have the resources that you need. It could be that type of power. And there are many forms of power that are either assumed or given to somebody. A Maverick leader uses all of that, but they're not. But what their real power comes from is the internal power that they have, their ability to decide for themselves about what is important and what isn't. They're not interested in other people's points of view in terms of who they are. So if they have a boss who says, you have to do this or I'm going to sack you, and they think that that's against their integrity levels or their principles, they'll be like, sack me then, because I'm not doing. They can't be persuaded to do something that's against their moral standpoint. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, what's interesting about this is that, it sounds very individualistic until you always bring it back to the greater good.
I think it's because Maverick leaders are guided by their own sense of identity and who they are. So Maverick leaders pride themselves on their ability to think. So therefore they're more objective because they don't want to be found in some sort of logical error. So if they've made a mistake, they'd rather you point it out and then they'll go, okay, that makes sense. I'm not doing this anymore. I'll do this new thing, rather than sticking to what they originally believed, because that's silly, that's stupid. Why stick to a view that you know is no longer correct? So everything that a Maverick leader does starts with, does this feel right? Is this something I should be doing? Is this the right thing to do in this situation? And then it's applied into the situation. And if the right thing for me damages you, I need to think about what's the greater good here. And if I still think that what I need to do is the right thing to do, I need to find a way that damages you less or not at all. That's how a Maverick leader thinks.
This sounds like it's making me think of the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation.
Yeah, Maverick leaders are not interested in extrinsic motivation on the basis that your opinion is just a data point. It's just something else to consider. If you think I'm ineffectual in something, but I think I can say I'm getting great results, that's interesting, but that's not going to change who I am, And I think that I think Maverick leaders are always referencing back to what do they believe is right and what is the evidence. So if you are telling me one thing, I'm not going to, it's not about a Maverick leader saying my opinion is more important than yours. It's about, where's the evidence? So I'll ask questions, I'll look around, speak to other people. And if the evidence is that you're right, I'll change. If you're wrong, I'll ignore it.
So this is starting to sound like, to me anyway, that a growth path towards becoming a Maverick leader, step number one would seem to involve becoming very much more certain about who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Would that be fair?
It is. And I think that's one of the things about leadership that's missing in almost all training and a lot of executive coaching, for example, even in leadership books, generally speaking, because if you look at how people see leadership in the past, it's all about what can I do to that person, that team, that company to make them move forward. Whereas a Maverick looks at a leader and say, if I don't trust and respect you, there is nothing you can do to make me do whatever it is you want me to do. Because if I don't trust you, I'm not going anywhere. So a Maverick leader imagines that the whole world is full of Mavericks. So they want to lead as a Maverick would listen, which makes them really good. Whereas if they were, because a Maverick leader sees everybody as a peer. So it doesn't matter if I'm leading somebody who sweeps the floor or is a peer on the board, because in the Maverick leader's perspective, everyone's a peer. So they're treated in an adult way. Other leadership styles kind of put the leader on the pinnacle.
Right. Okay. That's great, Judith. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening in. We hope that you found useful tips and tools and a pathway to Maverick leadership as a result of this conversation today. Please check out the links in our show notes. You can sign up to our newsletters there and keep an eye out because there'll be more from Mavericks of Mass Creation in our next episode soon.